folks. Welcome to Market Technical Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com for Friday, February 1st, 2008. Well, today had two parts to it, and the first half of the day was a very wild day, especially looking at the pre-market time. And I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about what went on pre-market as we get into it, because it involves not only stocks, but also economic data, and also looking into the Fed's future here and what we're going to price in as the next interest rate cut. And yes, I did say the market's beginning to price in another interest rate cut, and not a small one in the least. The second half of the day was compiled of a slower move, but a positive move. And we saw the market actually continue to trend up most of the afternoon and closing near its highs today with a solid gain across the board. So let's get right into the charts here as we talk about this. Here is the daily ES chart. But what I want to start out with first is the intraday. So we're going to go to the intraday, and this is the 10-minute intraday of the ES futures. And we're going to just talk a little bit about the movements in this market. And you can see early on there was major craziness going on. And, you know, I don't use that term lightly. There was some crazy stuff going on here. And it all began yesterday after the close with Google earnings. Google comes out, reports some negative earnings, and we mentioned this in yesterday's report, in yesterday's video. And for the most part, we saw a negative reaction across the board. The futures began to sell off. Technology began to sell off. Google dropped instantaneously. And just as a side note, Google closed down about $48 and change today to $515. But what we did see was, and what we talked about yesterday was that Google was going to do one thing, but then we had the jobs numbers this morning at 8:30, and that could change everything. In addition, what we also saw was that the market was relatively strong yesterday going into Google's earnings, even after Amazon.com on Wednesday reported some not-so-good results, or at least the market took it that way. But as we saw, Amazon rallied back from being negative to close positive, and the markets closed positive yesterday as well. So again, a lot of crazy stuff going on this week between economic data, earnings, and various announcements. Well, here we are, folks. Market trading to the sideways pattern right here, as you can see. And we got to the point basically early morning around 6:30 in the morning when all of a sudden an announcement broke that Microsoft had made a bid for Yahoo. The bid being about $31 a share, about a 50-plus percent premium on Yahoo stock. Well, the futures took off to the upside, and technology was hot pre-market like you couldn't even imagine. Even Baidu was positive. Google was still negative, but off its lows, obviously. But Baidu, which is a direct link to Google, was even positive. And we saw the futures take off to the upside and trade to the sideways pattern once we reached that level until 8:30 when the jobs data was going to come out. And the jobs data was not pretty. And the market reacted negatively, pushing us all the way back to the lows, if not a little lower. And then all of a sudden, the market started to think about things a little bit here and say, all right, well, this means the Fed's going to cut again. We're going to probably have another 50 basis point cut, and that's what the market's reacting to and factoring in now. And many of you that are with me on this say, oh my goodness, what are we going to have, negative interest rates? Are they going to pay us now? I don't even know. It's a pretty ridiculous situation here where it almost looks like the interest rates are going back to the 2002 levels or even before, right around 1 to 2% range, where it looks like it may be headed after it now that it being 3.25 and change. So in any case, the long story short, the markets began to rally, and we rallied up. We sold off again hard, and then we started to get into a trend. And I'm going to show you this little trend here, and you can basically follow it with your trend line right here along the bottom, and then right along the top here, and look at the parallel lines again. And again, I always comment on how the market has insane amounts of kind of comparison and quite a bit of symmetry. And that is exactly what you're seeing here. You see the bounces up and down, and look at the highs. I mean, there's no coincidence here that you had a high here, then you sell off to the lows here, and then you retrace to the highs again, sell off to the lows, and then you get in a nice steady uptrend. And where does that uptrend end us at the end of the day? Right along the highs of the market here. Okay? So overall, you continue to see this nice symmetry in all these charts. It's just a matter of understanding them and how to read them and understanding where this market is headed. Now, let me take out a couple of these lines here so we can actually focus in on something. And what I want to show you here is actually a little channel that was created in this market. All right? And what I want to show you here is the triangle pattern and we'll focus in right around here. And it's a little complicated to look at right now. I'll get rid of that line, and we'll get rid of this one as well. And this is where, essentially, at the market, we talked about this in the chat room as a major breakout area for a nice move up. And you can see the triangle formation from the high to the close of the candle right down here and right underneath, and drawn in relatively evenly there. And what you wanted to see was a close above here, which happened to also be a close above the 50 moving average and the 20. And in tune with that, you would get a move up that would continue for the rest of the day, and that's exactly what we got there. So the breakout of that triangle pattern to the upside was a nice little signal for a nice move up in this market to close near the highs of the day. And again, obviously we know that the highs are going to be a double top area, or in this case even a triple top, and that's exactly where we got to and weren't able to break out above that. So again, a lot of symmetry in this chart, a good analysis day for the chart for you guys that are learning about how to do this type of analysis and look for things. And you put enough of these technicals in your favor, and it's going to increase the odds of a successful trade or a successful position greatly. Now let's look at the daily chart. And this is the daily chart of the ES futures. And you guys can see, again, I'm just going to draw the line, and here's the major sell-off. Here's the tweezer effect where you had the double bottom, and we were bought off on the double bottom multiple times here. And then the move up. Now, we continue to get these bad news signals. We had the jobs number this morning, Google yesterday, Amazon the day before. And even so, the market still continues to try to rally late in the day. And this has been a regular occurrence now, aside from the bond downgrades, which caused a late day spike down yesterday and the day before. But you continue to see that. And today was the first day where we closed above the 20 moving average. And you have to take this as a near-term bullish signal. And I'm talking very near-term. So don't get carried away here thinking, yeah, all right, we're going to shoot back up, maybe to these highs or anything. That's a little too much of a bullish term. But the point being here is that you can start to look for maybe confirmation on Monday. And what we want to see on confirmation on Monday is a move above the high and maybe a consolidation pattern over a couple days in this range. As long as we maintain this position or the closing highs or the closing point on the futures above the 20 moving average now, you have to start to look for a little bit of upside. All right, now where could be the next point of resistance? If you look at my chart, or if I'm looking at the chart just quickly here, I'm going to guess it's somewhere around here. And as we move up, we could fall into a point right in this range. And there we go. So right between these lines is where I'm going to look for the next area of resistance in the futures. All right. Now again, we may consolidate first and have a little sideways trading to maybe slightly down. But as long as we stay above this 20 moving average, you can look to the long side. Now, why do I have these two lines here? Where do I get these from? Number one, you see this little area of consolidation before the breakdown, so that becomes a little bit of resistance to the top side. In addition, we take the top of the lines right there, which is that range it was in right there, and we draw that across, and notice how it meets the 50 moving average here. All right, you have the 50 moving average coming down slowly, so it's right in that range about this resistance area and the 50 moving average. Where we'll probably come to would be if we do get one more push up here. And again, those of you that might not be able to see, hopefully you can see it. I know it's in blue, so it's a little tough to see, but I'm just bringing my cursor along that line just to show you where it is, and it's right there at the tip right there. And that will continue to move down as the moving averages adjust to the market being below them. Okay, now let's look at the Nasdaq quickly, because we had the same type of pattern here. And you can see we had the big move down, we've retraced up, we had a little consolidation sideways move here for a few days, and now we did close above the 20. So again, do we confirm this move on Monday with another positive move? We need to close above this high here, and at that point, then we can start looking for maybe another move up in this range, probably in this range, again, meeting the 50 moving average at some point on the way down. Now, don't forget that at some point we probably will retrace to the lows, if not lower. We're not out of the woods yet. The interest rates look like they need to be cut again because the economic data is so weak. So by no stretch do we want to all of a sudden become wholehearted bulls. And as I always say, as a trader, I'm neither a bull nor a bear. We at InTheMoneyStocks.com are neither bulls nor bears. We just want to trade both sides of the market, whichever way it's going. So in the near term, we're looking, are we going to move up? Are we going to move down? And we trade it appropriately. And that's the way, the mentality you need to get. If you become a bull or a bear, you aren't open to the movements in the market, whether it's an up or down move. You just stick with what you believe. And the market here tells us what to believe, and that's the key. Let the market tell you what it's going to do. Don't tell the market, because you'll always be wrong when you try to tell the market. So in any case, folks, we do see a little positive move here above that 20 moving average. We want to keep watch of these stochastics too, all right? If these stochastics continue to move up and top out, we want to be very cautious on the upside as well. And we also want to follow here. Should we close back below on Monday, below this 20, well then maybe the downside's back in play. So it's kind of a limbo here with a slight positive bias. And again, I'm saying slight because in this market, too many people go bullish, we're going to have another fall. It's just the way it is, and you got to maintain that and be very cautious. But at this point, we'll continue to monitor that. Now, here's the Google chart for those of you that want to take a look, and this is an ugly chart. All right, this is the daily Google chart. I want to quickly bring this to your attention before we head out for the weekend. You have this major fall, you had the bounce back, and now a double bottom seems to have been reached. And one thing I want to point out here is you basically closed at the low of this candle. All right, so now we want to look, do we break lower on Google, or is this the double bottom we've been looking for on Google, and does it bounce back up? All right, folks, have a great weekend. Be safe. Again, no chat on Sunday night, folks. We're canceling it this week. We got Super Bowl Giants going, and we're in New York here. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back next weekend. Take care.